Bradon Roberts, and of course he's head of TTUTA Tobago officer. And good morning, Mr. Roberts. How are you?
Good morning, whether be to the viewers, the listeners.
Trying to remember the last time you were here.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. All right. Yes. So let's get into it. Obviously, you want to treat with a particular area, which is
the classification of leave for teachers in Tobago.
Classification.
Yes.
And we heard that yesterday, I think, the Secretary for Education did say that these teachers who are contracted teachers, that's what they are. They can't advance, they can't go up, they can't go down, and so on. But let's talk about that classification you're dealing with.
Right. So TTUTA has been addressing this issue of leave classification for quite a while, several years. And I was quite shocked to hear the Secretary in an interview saying that leave is being classified in Tobago more than a month now. Now, it disturbed me because, to me, TTUTA is fighting a battle that the THA should be fighting with TTUTA to get done. TTUTA is fighting the battle almost by itself. We went to the CPO, we went to the ministry, they indicated that our request must come from the THA. We came back to the division, we lobbied with the chief administrator and with the administrator in education at the time to do a letter requesting the authorization to classify leave in Tobago. So let me touch on what classification of leave mean. So teachers who would go beyond 14 days, so let's say you had a damaged foot, some surgery, or anything that requires you to take more than 14 days leave in a year, it must go to Trinidad in this day and age. It still must go to Trinidad to be classified. If it's not classified, it affects your continuity of service, so increments, persons who retire, their pension wouldn't be calculated, so those things are not processed if your leave is not classified. Ministry has paid very little attention to Tobago matters. So persons will be waiting 5, 6, 7 years to get the leave classified, and that is unacceptable. We have been lobbying for Tobago to get that. The CPO and the ministry eventually came into agreement that we will have that leave, that function devolved to Tobago. The documents left boxes in Trinidad and ended up in boxes in Tobago, waiting on an authorization letter from the minister. And I'm not certain where the mindset of the secretary is, that she was of the belief that everything is done. My concern with the secretary is she's involved in so many things that she's not able to follow through on any of the things that she's involved in. So she does not know what is happening on the ground at all. To be able to expose her lack of understanding in the media that leave classified in Tobago more than a month now, we're struggling for this thing. There are persons who are suffering because of it. They can't get their pension benefits and so on because they have leave outstanding to be classified. There are a lot of persons who are not getting their gratuity because they have some of those things, some of the increments, because they have leave to be classified. So when you come and give the impression that all is well and we're hugging up with the minister and so on, we need to get the authorization letter so that we can start classifying the leave.
You said we had to go to Trinidad to get the leave classified. You said, let's deal with. So this is a national matter, eh? And I think your colleagues in Trinidad would have the same problem, right?
For those, yes, because the ministry is not as efficient with those in Trinidad.
Very good.
So Tobago.
All right, so let's deal with Tobago. So is there a rolling out of responsibility in that regard to varying districts, let's say Tobago, for example? You said that we still have to go to Trinidad to get the classification
of leave here.
What is preventing it from being in Tobago for teachers here? Does it have to go to Parliament to be approved? Tell me what is preventing that. Is it a simple matter, or does it require going through the Parliament and all the other ramifications for it to be available here in Tobago?
Right, so at the onset, it would not be a simple matter. But we did the legwork already. We did all the work already, All we need is a letter signed by the minister authorizing the chief ad to classify leave. That's all we need, a letter signed by the minister.
And is the minister aware that Tobago...
Well, that is what I'm saying. I don't know, with all this hugging up and thing taking place between our secretary and minister and photos and so on, if we addressing the issues. So I don't want us to have this thing about, we have our friends in Trinidad now and things go. We're not getting the progress we want to get. So we have been at the CPO level, we have been at the ministry level. So we have a new minister. The previous minister was apprised of it. The secretary and the previous minister had conversation. The secretary and the current minister had conversations on it. But conversations don't make things work. It's an avenue to things getting done. If we don't follow through on the actionables, conversations would just be conversations. So that's what I'm saying. The secretary needs to follow through things to completion.
Very good.
And that's where we have been.
Okay. You mentioned the same thing applies with people to get a pension, or teachers who... Let's speak to that. Because it's a perennial issue in any division, that you retire or you're pre-retired and you're getting problem to get your money.
Yes,
Let's speak to it. What needs to be done from a tutor standpoint? And, well, tutors are no different from other public servants. So let's come there and to treat with this delay or this, this problem that people are having, teachers particularly, with getting their pension.
Well, for the impact of the leave classification, because there are other things could help that could delay.
Okay.
Your pension is calculated based on your continuity of service. So if there is days that are not yet classified, I don't know what those days are going to be.
Oh boy.
It will hold up the processing of that. So we are asking of the division or the chief of the office to be able to classify it at a faster rate, so that persons don't have this fighting this battle. Because sometimes you're fighting the battle, and you're fighting it for years until you retire. And then you're waiting a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, can't get your stuff done because you're documenting a box somewhere, not getting any attention. So it's more about having a system set up that THA could classify leave in Tobago, that it does not hamper persons going forward where they have days that are unaccounted for, which makes the processing of their pension a problem.
Difficult. How many teachers are in that situation? Is it, let's say, all the teachers in Tobago? Is it a percentage? What percentage? Tell us who are the affected teachers that are facing this classification issue.
Well, it would be varied from primary to secondary. We would also have persons who, no, I believe it would be only primary and secondary. We would have, we had a listing that we were working with that had close to 100 persons in different groupings. So I'll go to the division, because we have a working relationship with the division, you know. I'll supply them with my list, and we will check what list they have, and we'll have that sent to the ministry. That's how we were working with it. So I'll go down to the ministry meetings, and we'll look at the listing and so on, and they'll give us all kind of reasons why they have not able to process Tobago things. Then they will send back a host of queries highlighting issues with the documents sent from the division. So it's a lengthy process. So I'm not certain in the fluctuation in what they would have worked on at all if the numbers have reduced, but the numbers would be increasing once persons have any reason to have more than 14 days.
Okay. Does that apply for contract teachers as well?
Not in the same way, because the ministry has nothing to do with contract teachers in Tobago. So the ministry has nothing to do with contract teachers in Tobago. That's a
who's responsible? That's a THA thing.
So they would have always been able to address the contract teachers who have leave or any day to classify. They would do that here. But it's the in-service teachers.
Very good. Right. So in-service teachers. We spoke about contract teachers, and they don't have the same benefits as the regular teachers. What are some of the issues that are confronting contract teachers that needs to be addressed? Besides, and of course, this whole idea of, can we convert, or can contract teachers be converted to regular teachers? So
it can be done. However, we have an issue with the establishment. So the teacher just can't say, you are now in service. The teacher don't have that function. They could recommend to the Teaching Service Commission, which is based in Trinidad. It's one Teaching Service Commission for Trinidad and Tobago. And once there's a vacancy, the commission could have that person appointed in that vacancy. We do not have sufficient vacancy for all the contract teachers. So the division need to prepare the proposal for an increase of the establishment. We call it regularizing the establishment to meet the needs. But if our secretary is not focused on it, our chief secretary, and I'm calling those two persons because they were former contract teachers, complain about the same thing. If they're not focused on it, then you're going to hear about an audit. And then there's a problem with the audit, and then they do over an audit, and then there's a problem with the audit, and then they do over an audit, and there's a problem with the audit. So the last audit that we have a problem with now, they bypass TTUTA.
Wait, let me ask you, who is responsible for auditing TTUTA's book, so to speak?
Teachers.
Teachers?
It's teachers. So they are auditing the establishment of our schools to see what the needs are.
Right, and when that is done, You said they had to do another audit, and it just repeats itself. So there's no, right. So the needs basis comes from that audit. You as tutor officer would highlight that to your to your CPO. Who's responsible for ensuring that the needs are met?
So the division needs to have a cabinet note prepared so that it can be tabled at cabinet to regularize our establishment needs.
Right, okay.
TTUTA would work along with the division. So I went to Trinidad, get information from the different schools because they were saying our schools in Tobago have more teachers than they need, which could never be the case. What they did, one of the first audits, is that they lump all the contract teachers with the in-service teachers and say we have too many teachers, which don't make any sense. So they did an audit because the audit was flawed. They did another audit and another issue with it. Some of the information, when I saw the information, is not accurate information. They do another audit. They send it to TTUTA because we were able to see some of the issues right away. They send it to ministry, and I'm hearing ministry saying that they have an issue with some of the things in it. We are yet to see what this last audit is. And we don't know where the progress is. We're not getting any round the table to advance the matter. So we are just in the media and public talking about we have a heart for contract teachers and so on. We aren't doing the work. So that my concern is where the attention is of our policymakers, because we need them now. We need them attentive to our details here in our education space in Tobago to fix the issues. So I know it's politics time, so we will come and say all the things that we plan to do that we didn't do in the 4 years that you all were there. It's a straightforward thing. The argument for contract teachers to be regularized is a straightforward argument. Because if our contract teachers stay home, schools can't function, we don't have enough teachers.
Wow.
So what is it that we're trying to find the perfect thesis to be able to explain?
Let me ask, I want to go back to contract teacher and regular teachers, right? Teachers had teachers training college. When a teacher is contracted, how qualified is he or she to teach? Now, all right, so what the training college did was to certify you. You're qualified teachers now. You're a teacher. They spend a year in primary school and then they go on teachers training college. They come back now and we don't call it degree. Nowadays you call it degree. And I'm bringing the degree into focus here now. So the contract teacher is really a degree teacher. And then when we ask about, and this is just segueing a little bit, right? When we ask about, can the teacher detect dyslexia in a child? Can the teacher detect that the child isn't seen correctly? Can he detect the child is not hearing? Let's go there, Mr. Bradon, because we could talk contract teachers. They have a degree, but they really have not been trained to teach. Let me talk that a little bit, and we're staying with this whole question of treating with. So let's go there. If you had to regularize teachers who are contract teachers that just have a degree, where were they trained?
But I know the issues, you know. The contract teachers, yes, so you're correct. They will come in with their degree, but they may not have the pedagogy as to how to teach.
Okay.
So what happens is that they have a dip ed program where teachers in the contract, who are in the secondary schools are sent to do their diploma in education, where they have that part of the pedagogy done. Contract teachers don't have that ability to go because they are on contract. Their contract don't allow them to go and study and come back. So we would have lobbied for one of the contract teachers to be given the privilege to. I'm not certain if anybody else was fortunate as a contract teacher to get the privilege to go and study. But the contract don't afford you to go and do a diploma in education, the teaching practice. The scholarship program no longer, for the primary school, sends you to the university. You have to go and get a degree and come in now. So you have to go and get a degree in education to be a primary school teacher.
Right.
So before you will come in with the O-levels, teach for a year or two, and then they send you. That is no longer the case.
But isn't that, all right, okay, I don't know, but isn't that something that we should be thinking about? Because because at the end of the day, you see, one of the challenges when we talk about children slipping through the crack, because it may be a case of teachers not equipped with the knowledge to tutor the way they are supposed to. In other words, if a fella, in my time growing up, the teacher would detect, because I had bad sight. And they tell my mother, look, the boy is not seen properly. And because her training and background, obviously coming from the teacher training college era, was able for her to detect that. And so there are some areas that needs to be maybe stepped up on, and as TTUTA would see about, that is all the business to do. But it's important to mention. All right, and so how do we correct all the issues? Obviously, the Secretary for Tourism, for education.
You are correct.
For education, I have plenty on a plate, and you just pointed to it, right? So is there any person in the system that will take up the slack, so to speak, if the secretary is not available? Who is the second in command, so to speak, to treat with those issues? You're laughing.
I like your question in. Yeah. I like your question. I love your question in. Yeah. We had 4 years assistant secretaries in education. They removed the assistant secretary and give the one secretary an additional division. How could it make sense? You're setting her up to fail. So the division of education right now to me is on autopilot. Because our secretary is now Secretary of Tourism, and you're correct, the Secretary of Tourism. So we are not getting attention to detail. Education is a very diverse and dynamic division. It's maxi-taxi people have to deal with. You have to deal with food and nutrition and the food program. There are so many things, and you are giving the one secretary who needs an assistant secretary and an additional portfolio. But that's their business or no. I am here to talk about the issues that are not being addressed, and so for them to figure it out. To me, they are setting her up to fail. What works for her, she can speak well, so she can let persons feel that everything is going well when it is not going well. We are not advancing the contractor situation, and it affects many other things. So you are talking about teaching practice. Yeah, it affects that too. We are talking about middle management because they can't be no principal or no head of department, so we're not benefiting from their experience. There are so many things we are losing out on with this prevalence of contract teachers in Tobago. We are not getting the leave classification adjust to completion. We are not addressing all the needs of our school repair program. We are not addressing all the resource shortage furniture where they have 2 and 3 children sitting on a one-seater. Teachers complaining about back problems. They don't have seats for teachers. You're always hearing about things that they order and order to come. You're hearing about suppliers complaining about not getting the funding on time. Contractors complaining about not being paid on time. If we do not have a Secretary of Education focused on the issues in education, we're going to have real problems, you know.
Right. We had, he was a former colleague of yours who was in education, Mr. Cook. Mr. Cook?
Yeah, correct.
Cook. What was his first name?
Orlando Cook.
Huh?
Orlando Cook.
Orlando Cook. And he was the Secretary of Education upon that?
Assistant Secretary.
Assistant. And he's no longer there?
No, that he was reassigned.
And I have to ask why though? But and because, all right, so you're saying that, and you see, the thing is, people who are competent in the field, he used to be you know. He used to come here and adamantly, you know, and he was brutal in some cases. Now he is now have an opportunity to contribute in the division, and now he's no longer there. Right, so that's an issue for them to deal with. But at the end of the day, right, do we need to address this, well, from a national standpoint, we have a new TTUTA president. Mm-hmm. Just remind me of his name again.
Crystal Ash.
Crystal Ash, he's not Lumpkin anymore, he's gone. Right, do you compare your concerns, like, do you have to report to your president, the national president? And what's the working relationship like? For example, if there are shortfalls in, let's say, finance in Tobago, education got the largest slice in the budget. From a national standpoint, can you communicate with your leader in Trinidad to say, look, we can deal with the issues in Tobago only if we get a certain amount of monies? Can he lobby from that standpoint to get whatever injection of funds to be siphoned to Tobago? Is there that level of accommodation in this relationship between TTUTA Tobago and TTUTA Trinidad?
Right, so it's amazing that these are questions being asked because we're supposed to have one tutor.
Of course.
So you all would have been predominantly hearing the Tobago office and the Tobago matters and not so much the national executive. So while I was in Trinidad yesterday with the executive in a meeting, and that was one of the key points made. You know, we need to ensure we have a national voice because Tobago is part of Trinidad and Tobago. So we need to ensure, so with the new executive, that point was made very clear. I would not be Tobago officer come February.
Oh, you're going?
January coming is elections. So there'll be a new Tobago officer.
Okay.
We do not want to have a new person coming without the support. I am grateful for the guidance that I would have received to be able to stand up and to able to follow from some of the footsteps that Mr. Kerr would have laid. So I have respect for Mr. Kerr.
Yeah.
I would have learned a lot from him. I would have built the kind of strength to come out and advocate and so, but we need national TTUTA presence. So it's amazing that you're asking the question, but that point was made among the executive yesterday, that despite how you believe the Tobago officer may function, we still need national presence.
Of course. And well, okay, we're getting ready to wrap. And you mentioned there the school repair issues and things that stationaries, are they still needing of stationaries and them little order? Well, where are we in terms of supply to the schools in terms of the needs for teachers?
So again, allocations and releases are not the same. So I see people jumping up because we have a larger amount allocated to the THA in the budget. It have a midterm review. They're talking about revenues and not certain how we get in that revenue. So allocations is not the same as releases. So the division from time to time is not in a position to service the needs of schools. So some of our secondary schools get their releases for first term in last academic year now, or second term from last academic year, they're now getting it. So you don't know when they're getting this first term money because that might be sometime in June next year. Benches, toilet paper and bleach, and those little things are things that we struggle for from time to time when we're asking PTA to assist us with. So I know the administrators, and I would give kudos to the administrators, that they're trying their best to manage with what they get. But we're not accepting that, you know. We were the best. We need education. We are the bottom all the time. We are the bottom of the education district in Trinidad and Tobago. So we cannot accept that administrators trying their best. We have to get right. And if we do have a secretary who is paying attention to this, the education matters, we can't get right.
Okay. All right. Mr. Roberts, we got to leave it there. We want to thank you for being in this morning. And you're going to retire. You're not going to be as tutor officer to
Yeah, so I served my 2 terms already. We have a 2 terms limit.
Okay.
So there will be an election which I cannot go back up for.
Well, you did a fantastic job during your tenure.
Thank you, I appreciate
well,
that.
Enjoy your retirement from
TTUTA.
From TTUTA.
I'll be back in the classroom.
Fantastic job you did. All right.